what is up, guys? Your boy Ed from Elite TV. You already know I got my boys here. Miles, who topped at the YCS Cancun, and Bryce right here. Miles, tell me what's going on, man.
Yeah, so we top 16 at YCS Cancun. Went there with you know, the deck, the deck that I'm always playing.
Yeah.
The deck that I pushed the deck building the furthest on, alongside this guy Bryce. So he was part architect for this deck list, and so I felt like doing a joint deck profile would be cool for this one.
Oh yeah, he's such a mastermind. I love you, Bryce.
Yeah.
Yeah. But any shout outs before we get started?
Yeah, big shout out to my team Fafnir.
Oh, beautiful jerseys, look at those.
Big shout out to Bryce, who helped me build the deck, obviously, and make some of the tech choices. Big shout out to the rest of my teammates, Austin and Colby, and everyone else who made this possible. Shout out to Elite Savige and Eddie here behind the camera, and so we're excited to get right into the deck profile.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right. So we'll do the fairy lineup first. So we did 2 diviner, 1 diviner for the opening combo, and then a second diviner to help you break a board on the subsequent turn by sending Intis, which is in the extra deck. 1 Vantage Ruler. We almost never ended on Vantage Ruler in any of the combos that we labbed out. But Vantage Ruler is important for when you get Bestial, because then your backup plan basically becomes that you're going to Little Knight the Bestial and then summon this guy on top of it. He's really good when your opponent's on hand traps too, because as long as they've impermed you or veilered you throughout the course of the combo, you drop this guy, the odds that they have an out for it are very low. So in simplified game states, you want to drop this guy, but like I said, I'm almost never using him as part of my inboard. He's like the backup plan, basically.
Yes, sir.
And then the card that's honestly one of the MVPs, I talked to Bryce about this card before the tournament, and I told him that I thought we had to main it, and Bryce was a little reluctant, but after thinking about it, he confirmed the theory with me, basically saying that it's too smart to run this, because against the shifter decks, if they shifter you, we just search Lancet with the Ben 10, and then we pass on Fuko, and Tenpai can't kill you through Fuko, and Ritual Beast gets FTK'd by this card. So we wound up agreeing that main decking this copy was correct. And then it's not a fairy, but the last like one of engine requirement monster is Bright Knight or Drytron. This card used to suck, used to be like unplayably bad, but now he's really, really strong actually, because he gets you to Nova, which gets you to another name, and then you just go crazy. Without this, you usually don't get to IP as part of your inboard, or you have to skip one of the inboard pieces. But because we play our Startron, the board is really huge. So really, actually a good card now, unironically. Then on to the Drytron names. So we're gonna play 3 of the alpha. That's traditional. 3 of the gamma. That's also traditionally accepted wisdom. 3 of the Alteus. 3 of the Zeta. This is like not worth explaining. We always played, for the most part, 3 names each. But the new name, which we just got in the last core set, was New2. There is still a little bit, sorry, they're kind of leaning up there, good. But this is a slightly controversial now within the Yu-Gi-Oh community about what build is worth playing. Me and Bryce, ever since this card came out, had been saying that New2 was the route that the deck needed to take. We thought that fairies are potentially very strong. They're potentially another way to play the deck, but this just gives you so much consistency. The consistency boots is incredible, and the follow-up plays that New2 lets you do are just incredible. So like throughout the course of the tournament, I've gotten Bestial a couple times, but then on the next turn, if you see New2, all of your Drytrons are back in rotation after getting Bestialed, pretty much. I'm a very strong advocate for New2 being the new way to play the deck. It's just very consistent, great card, awesome card. Also, is part of the reason why you beat Shifter is having this guy in your hand, because he just can poof himself out from the hand. That's 2 level 1s minimum for playing through Shifter. So yeah, anything to say about the ratios here?
No, it's just pretty much standard. I just love New2. New2 is the best card of the world.
New2 is the new way to play the new way to play the deck. Haha. Then on to the ritual part of the deck. Another new card, Dad. They changed his name to Da, but we're gonna keep calling him Dad. He is one of the weirdest cards in the game, because he's a soft twice per turn, which I don't know how many cards in the game exist that are soft twice per turns, but he's a soft twice per turn. So he's a soft twice per turn monster negate and destroy. So what the ideal situation is, you end on this guy plus, I mean, not really a spoiler, but you end on this plus this, so that you can negate twice, turn these 2 guys into the Dynamon, he's in the graveyard, then reborn and back, so now you have 4 monster negates. And like I said, he's a monster negate and a destruction at the same time, so he's incredible. One time throughout the course of the tournament, I played against a Tenpai player who Raigeki'd this guy in a simplified game state, and then his secondary effect came up, which I don't think the opponent read, and you just got to poop this guy out for free. So if they wind up destroying him, you get the 4K Draconids, and this card's a good card in his own right, so play those guys. Again, I think I'm doing something a little bit unconventional because I think most Drytron players have thought that the Secret Village build is a little bit better than the Magic Key build, but the Magic Key build offers some things that me and Bryce discussed that were better long-term over the course of a YCS tournament than something like the Secret Village combo. A, Magic Key is a machine, so you can use it in a Ritual Summon. And B, this combo is as resilient for the most part as the Secret Village combo, but it doesn't require like 3 slots in your extra deck. So you get a lot more utility out of your extra. And then another card that I actually kind of want Bryce to talk about because this was something that I had very briefly, and I'm sorry to say it, very briefly considered cutting. Not these guys. I was never going to cut these, but I had briefly considered cutting Natasha. Bryce, would you like to tell people why that's insane?
Well, for one, Natasha's just the best card in the world. 2, there have been so many game states, like just weird, like interesting game states that become very sticky if you don't have her. And having her as like your answer to those weird, unorthodox game states is very beneficial because it allows us that additional weapon in our arsenal to be able to deal with things that like Dad probably couldn't deal with, or Draconids couldn't deal with, or even Zeus for that matter.
Yeah. Another reason why too is like what Bryce is pointing out about the sticky game states thing is like Yubel puts up a bunch of Spirit Reapers. So yes, getting Natasha on the board to take their monsters that can't be destroyed by battle is a great way to deal with those unorthodox, weird game states. So cutting her, I'm very passionate about, is a mistake. The counter argument to why you wouldn't play her is because she technically contradicts with Mewtwo. But my whole thing about that is you're only using her in a situation where you don't have to access Mewtwo. And Mewtwo has already, throughout the course of the game, let you access all of your other names, right? So if you need to kill them with Natasha, then you can just do that without Mewtwo. So I think this is the reason why we've been able to win so many games on Drytron when so many other Drytrons have faltered, because we still honor and love Natasha. So do not cut this card, Drytron players.
Well, and Tenpai doesn't read Natasha, and they try to still attack Natasha, and they just go
negate the attack, negate the attack, negate the attack. So also, well, the other sticky thing is like you can steal her Chandra, and then what are they syncing into?
Right, because you're stealing their Tinner.
Yeah. Then on to the spells, injury requirement, you have to play it. It was correct to play 2. I'm still gonna die on that hill back in the day, but now the deck plays a lot more similarly to the deck prior when we were playing 2. So I think playing 1 is fine now. This did get DD Crowed once. I'll tell you that story maybe later, but it got DD Crowed and I got to add it back with a card in the side deck, so that was kind of clutch. Another name, Fool's Burial. This usually is one of the worst names, but in this deck you're able to dump Magic Key or dump your ritual monsters to get access to them, so it's another copy of those cards. The God card, I mean, yeah, just yeah. I played 1 Dark Roller as a thrust target. We didn't want to play a bunch of non-engine. I guess we might as well do the non-engine now, so obviously those are non-engine pieces or board breakers. We'll just toss them all down here. Now the reason we did 1 Dark Ruler and not 3 was because in testing, one of my biggest frustrations was drawing cards that weren't good going first and second. And Dark Ruler is really only good going second. So we decided to build this deck with the most versatility in our board breakers because bare minimum you can set Eclipse and survive if something bad's happening, right? You can also use Eclipse to dodge Imperm, stuff like that. And drawing Dark Ruler doesn't have those same applications. So when I'm going second, if I draw it as my 6th card, that's great. If I don't, I have Thrust to search it. So I'm basically playing 3 copies of it anyway. And so you don't want to necessarily draw Dark Ruler going first because it doesn't do anything. The rest of these cards do something usually when you go first. So you can hand trap, you can do that. If you get hand trapped, you can set the trap that we're going to show you later. That's a super spicy trap card. But this was the basic non-engine suite for our board breakers.
Also, our addition to what Miles was saying about the one dark ruler was the fact that a lot of the times we would have thrust, and that we didn't really have a solid target for thrust, and that
wound up being the best target. Any questions, Eddie? We're good?
Sure, we're all good.
Cool.
You're
And
doing
then
such a good job, man.
And then the remainder of the names, we just have 2 field spell. I still think 3 is probably fine, but we didn't want to brick on it, so we just decided to go for 2, especially since we can search it with our Drytron. And then, I mean, nothing really to explain here. 3 Cyber Emergency and 3 Nova, just more names. So,
Great cards.
yeah, great cards. Yep, more names. And this is technically like not only a name, it's also basically like a mini copy of Preparation Rites, because it can search you the machine rituals. So, really clutch the names. And then on to the last 2 traps we played. That's obvious because we played the Beto Buster, so Magic Key Unlucky. The other reason why we really like this card is because it has a hidden effect that nobody really thinks about, but is applicable and good during this format, which is it changes the attributes of all of the next monsters your opponent plays after this card resolves. So you can turn all of your Yubel opponent's monsters into Divine, and then they can't do any of the Fiendsmith stuff. So it's really actually really good. And then the spicy tech that all credit goes to Bryce for this one, because I had cited this card before but never considered main decking it. But Bryce made a good point. I wanted to play Daruma Cannon, and that would have been a huge mistake because this card won me like so many games against Shifter, either going first or post siding, because I do side a 3rd thrust, and I never side this card out when I go first against Shifter. Because what wound up happening is I played against 4 10 pies. I played against, which all shifted me. I played against a Casturan Top Cut, which shifted me. I played against another shifter deck. What was it? I can't remember what it was, but I played against another shifter deck. I got shifted a lot during this tournament. And Daruma Cannon would have been great. The argument for Daruma Cannon is that it's technically a better trap card when you go second into a board, so you can stall out the game and then play on the 3rd turn. But this card is such just an insane blowout, and you never sight it out when you're going first, so it has like, it just pulls so much double duty. I once again, just huge shout out for Bryce for telling me to play this last minute, because I was a big advocate for Daruma Cannon, like I said, and I was incorrect. This was MVP. I got shifted like 10 times and only lost once to Shifter playing Drytron, so make that make sense. Throughout a lot of our discussions while building the deck, we basically come to the conclusion that we were going to build our main deck to beat the Shifter decks, which were the counter strategy to Yubel. If we went first against Yubel, we felt pretty confident we could beat it anyway, but we dedicated our side deck to the Yubel matchup for the most part. So main decking this card for the Shifter decks, or any decks that hand trap you, was just like insane. Just insane. What a broken card. And peak deck building, by the way.
Well, and it was just a hard punish to hand trapping us.
Yeah. So, and then on to the extra. You want to extra first?
Yes, sir. Let's go to the extra deck first.
So, mandatory, you just kind of have to play it. Intis, Herald of Arclight. In testing, I got to make this guy a few times with like an imperm diviner, but this time I never got to make it, just sending it with diviner. Play Don Dragster, which is now a part of our end board. This card is awesome against rogue decks. I think Drytron just slaps rogue decks really hard. So we're one of the only decks right now that put up copious amounts of spell and trap negates, so having this access was awesome. This was probably the 15th card in the extra. This could have been Silhouette Rabbit if we wanted to increase the deck size a little bit, but because I didn't increase the deck size, it really wasn't going to be Silhouette Rabbit. It could have been Underworld Goddess, which was very close to playing her, or it could have been a Link 3. Eventually we settled on this because it's a rank 1 that also helps you style out 10 pie and can clear up those weird game states that Bryce was talking about earlier, so by making Zeus with her. And so we played a Symbol Nightingale. Another just insane card. Like we said, this is why we beat 10 pie so easily. So they shifter you when you're going first, you thrust for Featherstorm, you search Lancia, you pass to them, all your Drytrons go to the graveyard that were underneath this guy, and you survive, and then you kill them on your turn. So Fuko's really cool. Obvious to move Beta Fafnir. Do not play 3 of this. I know that now that you play new 2, like a lot of people are tempted to play 3, you still do not need 3. It never comes up. The 1 downer for the Zeus, and the 1 Zeus because we're the best Zeus deck.
Yes, sir.
And for the Lynx, 1 Anima because they killed my boy Link Kribo. I know, sad. 1 Little Knight because, I mean, it's Little Knight. one Dynamondo, which in this deck in particular is just breaks the game in half because now you get to use Dad 4 times. And I used his effect to clean up board states a lot against Ubel, and so love Dynamondo. I still think you have to play this card in this deck just because we're playing an aggressive deck, and this is one of the Blessed Link 2s to clear a board with Natasha when you're trying to break the board. So Phoenix, obviously very good. Obviously our best inboard linked monster, and then I think this is maybe slightly controversial over Boral Sword. A lot of people are a fan of that card, but right now I think Bryce already pointed this out, and we keep pointing it out. The boards are very sticky in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, so you need pops a lot of times, and this just clears the way for it. And now because we have a 5K Drytron, you never miss game, like never ever miss game. So all right, cool. And then on to the extra. We'll start off with the monsters first. We'll just do all 5 at the same time. So double Lancia and 3 Sphere Mode. Sphere Mode is obviously just insane. We can't normal summon the turn we use it, so it's not like we can drop Ruler and we can't drop Diviner. But a lot of times that doesn't matter. Either we can Natasha, steal your board, access code, kill this guy, and then kill you with your own monsters if we're doing Natasha combos, or we can simply Zeus you out your board and then tell you to try and kill us. You usually can't.
Right, and that's also the other reason why we're playing Nightingale is sometimes if they just leave this guy on board, you couldn't attack because he can't be attacked into. Yeah. And so Nightingale just bypasses that for us to be able to make Zeus.
Right. And then a brief explanation on this card. In testing, we were absolutely terrified of Ritual Beast because Protos is just a very unfair card, and that deck does a lot that's hard to play through. Their Link 4 is insane against us, straight up. So we needed a card that gave us a shot if we did play against Ritual Beast. This wound up, I guess we could say it wound up being a mistake because I didn't play against any Ritual Beast at the tournament, but in theory, you should still be playing this card if you're playing this deck because you just get hard destroyed by Ritual Beast once they know what you're playing. Because they'll just cut light on Protoss and then you just can't play the game.
So if you're playing against Ritual Beast, you side all
yes, all 3, yeah. And then good thrust target, also back row removal. Another upping the count of Dark Ruler so you don't have to search it with thrust is fine. And then the third thrust, which you always bring this third thrust in games 2 and 3. Like it never leaves your deck. So it's basically a main deckable card. And then the card that wound up being a mistake, but in theory wasn't. And we discussed playing this card over a bunch of other ones. I thought because of the region we were going to, we play against a lot more rogue decks. It turned out that I played against mostly Tin Pie, which I think is probably the 2nd or 3rd best deck of the format. And then a lot of Ubel with like 3 rogue decks sprinkled in. And I brought it there for Runic, and it has applications against those other decks too, but honestly, if it was like double Lightning Storm and a Lava Golem, probably would have been better for this tournament, but hindsight's always 20/20. In theory, I don't think this is incorrect, but it wound up for the tournament not being that great because it didn't play against any Runic decks really. And then I think this one should be obvious, which is D-Barrier. This card cooks like everything that either shifters you, and it's good against Ubel. So if Ritual Beast shifters you and you couldn't get to the Featherstorm, but you can make Fuko and set this, then you FTK them anyway. And so also it is good against Ubel. Them not being able to access fusions cuts them off from like a 1/3 of their extra deck. So no Aerial Leader, no Desiree, no Phantom, no Banshee. So it's like a lot of cards that matter. So I don't need to explain that really any further. And then the last card is a trap card, which honestly clutched out a really important match for me. Me and Bryce also talked about this card for a while. It's honestly probably the 15th side deck card, so it's maybe not the best choice, but we did it for the same reason why we cited Cosmics, was because against Runic decks, these cards are very clutch. Obviously clearing the fountain makes sense, but if they activate a Runic spell on you while you have a Drytron on the field, which I mean is very easy to do, you wind up getting all your resources back. During the tournament, I got my ritual spell DD Crowed, and Meteorora was able to add back my ritual spell, and I ritual summoned Dad on my opponent's turn. So totally saved me a match that I was 100% going to lose if I didn't side deck this card in. So I think, and this is the last thing I'll say because I know this deck pro is really long, but I think a lot of people think of cards in terms of good and bad only, and not of when they are good and when they are bad. You know what I mean? And so like this card has a context in which it just straight up allows you to win the game against Runic. And so that's why we decided to play it, because in that context, this card is very, very strong.
This card allows you pretty much a third hand. Because we play out of our hand and out of the grave. Yeah. This card now allows our banishment to be
used
as well.
Oh my god.
And last thing I'll say about it is that it also technically lets you play through Dark Ruler and Droplet. So if I saw that my opponent wasn't playing hand traps and they were on a heavy board breaking strategy, I can also bring this card in when I go first. So yeah, it's good for that purpose as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey man, you guys have done a great job, and I'm really, really proud of you guys. It's always great to see you guys do well, because I get to see you guys do it a lot, and it's amazing, man. Shout outs to Team Fafnir. My fault.
There you go.
And you guys are amazing. Do you guys have any final words?
I'm just really happy with the tournament experience. Big shout out to Bryce, because I could not have done it without him, bro. The deck building was honestly this is probably one of my favorite lists I've ever built. Because all the tech cards came up. Every card was good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was innovative, you know?
Yeah.
It's a big deck, 51.
Dude, this is awesome.
51, and it's kind of weird, and it's creative, and so a lot of credit goes to the minds working together on
the
that.
masterminds. You guys are amazing at it.
So I'm really thankful for it. Also, shout out to Zach and David, who did awesome at the tournament too.
Yeah, they did great.
A couple other Houston players who did great. So I'm really proud of this. This is totally a team effort, and so yeah, it's awesome.
So I love you guys. Thank you guys for coming through. See you guys on the next one, man.
Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Don't forget to check out Dank Rituals. Their link will be down in the description. Also, you guys should definitely join my Facebook group. I have a lot of really cool updates and a lot of really good information that you guys might want to keep up with about giveaways and whatnot on there. Also, please guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would like for you guys to turn on that bell notification as well. I would like to grow my percentage of subbed and not subbed from 20% higher. I would really appreciate that. And don't forget to like, comment, share. You already know, guys. Appreciate y'all very much, and I'll see y'all in the next video.